Is that right?
Donaghadee.
Donaghadee. Oh, it's a bit like Yorkshire place names. It doesn't sound like it spells, but there we are. Garth has been involved with crowdfunding with RGB and I since we started this relationship with Global Giving back in 2019. So Garth, and we're looking forward very much to hearing all about it and how we can raise funds through Global Giving in these times when we're not able to go out and gain funds from the public in the usual way. And thank you very much, and over to you.
Thank you, Chris. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yeah.
You could speak a little louder, Garth, please.
Hang on. Can everybody hear me?
That's better, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen, so if you sort of chat amongst yourselves. And get the slides up. Okay. And as I operate two screens, I'll just make sure that I've got all the other bits going as well, in case anybody asks anything as we go through.
Shall we ask the question that everyone's going to ask? Will you share these slides? Will they be available to everyone at the end?
Yes, at no cost.
Thank you.
That's okay. Yes, and I did share some with Mary, but I noticed I must have deleted some inadvertently this afternoon, so always good to check. So anyway, right, folks, we'll kick off. First of all, can I thank Mary for all her hard work in organising. I know she's part of our Rotary Great Britain Ireland public image team. She's a dab hand at Canva and doing things like that. So brilliant on the flyers and the promotion. So thanks to that. Thanks also to District Governor Chris there for his introductions, and nice to see District Governor Allison and Rory as well, and for allowing me to come and speak to you all this evening. As I explained to Mary at the start, I did a recent district presentation to 1180, and out of that, I'm not sure if you have any AGs in the group this evening, but a number of those signed me up afterwards to do presentations to their zones, so that's something to think about. I'm quite happy to do other presentations to clubs if needed. I've done about 9 to date, and excluding this one, I have another 6 in the pipeline. So I have it called as a theme, crowdfunding, using the power of crowdfunding to change lives. So District Governor Chris had given a little bit of an introduction. Jasmine, or Jazz as she is called, is our relationship manager within Global Giving, resides in London, but currently residing at home in London because of the lockdown, and they're not back into the office. So Jazz has been with me on some of these sessions, so when I share the slides at the end, I'll copy Jazz in as well. And as Chris has given me the background, so I don't need to go through all that. Probably between 15 and 18 minutes to go through the session, and then we can take questions at the end.
Hi, Garth. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is it possible to turn the volume up a bit, please? I've got my thing on maximum and I can hardly hear you.
Okay, well, let me see if I need to change anything at this end here. Hang on.
Thank you.
Is that there any better? Can you hear me any better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
John, is that better?
Yeah, that's better, thank you.
Right, I'll try and shout a little bit into the screen here. Hang on, I'll get my slides back again. Where have they gone? Okay, where are we? Get this back. Okay, everybody here okay? Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay. So crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is the concept of raising funds from many to reach a specific goal for a specific project over a specific period of time. It's not a new idea. in 1885, the base or pedestal of the Statue of Liberty was in part crowdfunded for when funds ran out. They raised $102,000 in 6 months from 120,000 donors. So it's just that technology and crowdfunding platforms have made it a lot easier to do. A good analogy is like selling tickets online for a coffee morning or a film showing. You need to make it attractive and interesting for the reader. So who thought several months ago we would be having a Rotary meeting like this? The COVID-19 pandemic has us all looking at different ways of doing things. One that has started to gather momentum is crowdfunding. And we started to look at the concept of crowdfunding back in 2017. In the initial stages of the crowdfunding, we actually looked at creating our own platform, and we had instigated a company called Blue Frog to do the work. But when we looked at it, initial costs were certainly well over £100,000, and it was far too expensive to maintain and an awful lot of risk we'd have to carry. So at that stage, we decided to look out into the network to find out what providers we had out there that provided a crowdfunding platform. And one of those people that provided that was Global Giving. Our aims at that time, our goals: opportunity for clubs to raise more funds for their projects, increase engagement with a wider public, and membership opportunities. So it went forward to the Governing Council in August 2017, and it was agreed that Global Giving would be our partner for crowdfunding, and we signed a contract in 2018. So what are the outputs we're looking at so far? I was just preparing an article today for Dave King for the Rotary magazine, and we've now raised over £90,000 from the 24 projects. There's a new one that came on called the Rotary Club of Brentwood that put out a COVID-19 project over the last period in June, and they raised over £9,000, and they actually just received a community grant to do with COVID of $25,000 their project got, which was absolutely wonderful news. So that shows just the additional money that we've raised. We're in excess of over 1,000 donations, and we've 12 projects now have graduated to the platform, and I'll explain a little bit more about that later. So we at Rotary do lots of projects, small, large, in the community and overseas. This gives us all a brilliant opportunity to reach out to new people, not necessarily Rotarians. Or new Rotarians just want to do projects. This is another excellent way to attract new members for your club, or possibly for a new satellite club. So who is Global Giving? So Global Giving, they are a registered charity in the US and the UK, and it's the largest global crowdfunding community connecting non-profits, donors, and companies around the world. They work with organizations in 170 countries to increase their access to funding. The mission is to transform aid and philanthropy to accelerate community-led change. Now, Rotary and Global Giving, what we have done is we have created a landing page, and a landing page is where we actually can show the projects. There is no cost for a Rotary Club to put a project on. The only cost that Rotary pays is that we enter into a yearly arrangement with Global Giving. We have just done that in the last couple of days and secured it for another year. The only fee that is paid comes off the donation, and that is 8% is the processing fee. The added piece that comes onto that is because they're a registered charity, they can claim gift aid on all the funds. So that's 25%. I know we were talking earlier, there is sort of Just Giving, there's GoFundMe, there are different other organizations. They are not charities as such, and the gift aid only sort of gets attributed to other charities, and we see those sort of other organizations as more suited probably towards sort of individual and maybe family sort of things that get set up. Global Giving is more associated with organizations and voluntary groups. And Global Giving is the only one that we're sort of aware of currently that allows you to get additional funding from their corporate partners. So in addition to a donor giving you money, you get the opportunity of getting it from their partners as well. And Rotary Club of Brentwood is a fine example of them getting additional funds on top of what they got from their donors. What I'm going to do here is go into the landing page, and hopefully that should come up on the screen. Voila. Okay, so you should see this. So this is our landing page, and this shows the projects that are currently live at the moment. Rotary Club of Brentwood is off now because they achieved their over their £9,000 goal. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 projects that are live. If I click on one of these now, you'll see. So there's one there that we've done recently. You've heard of the various fellowships that you can join. This is an international fellowship of Rotarian doctors. Actually, the person that runs that is a past district governor in England, got in touch, and this is a project that they have been doing, and they've currently raised over £8,000. You can see that this is the layout of what the project would look like. You have the opportunity to put, videos, pictures, and then there's a breakdown there of what you can actually get your donors to give. So that's an overseas one. Rotary Club of 4 Marks in Medstead was one of the first ones that were set up. They've raised nearly £12,000. They actually got a community grant as well, £5,000, which isn't included in this money, and they're still going. But this is one of the first ones. They did a lot of work locally with the disabled group, did a lot of work with their friends group to sort of raise money, push it on social media, etc. We'll pick one more. And there's one Rotary Club of Basildon Concord. They've raised over £6,000 as well, and that is an overseas project. Let's see if we can get. There we are, back on the slides again. So there we are. That was one that we sort of talked about. So the Rotary Club of 4 Marks in Medstead, they raised funds for the Broadlands Riding Group, which provides people with a disability and the opportunity to do riding. So this was led by one of their volunteers called Sally. Sally had never crowdfunded before, and when asked what her advice would be in the future, if she said she could go back and redo the campaign, she'd put together more of a comprehensive fundraising plan. What was her strategy? Her strategy was to get 3 to 4 fundraising advocates in her local club who shared with their networks. One in particular had hundreds of friends on Facebook and had a strong following. Staff at the organisation, as I mentioned, she was raising money for, also shared with their networks. She posted in local community groups that post contents and events that people in the area would be interested in. She had contacted the Rotary Club, was an ex-BBC journalist who gave them a spot on their local radio. So this is a really quick overview of what the partnership provides. So Global Giving is not just a crowdfunding platform. I sort of call them crowdfunding plus. So what other things do they provide? As I mentioned, global giving driven funds. So the partnerships with corporates. You may want to pull your project onto their company pages for their employees to donate as well. May be part of a gift card scheme. Essentially try and make your projects and put in front of as many partners as possible. Usually a crowdfunding campaign lasts for a few weeks and then the project is retired. Global giving for clubs that graduate from the accelerator. You have access to additional funding and training opportunities. So what do you get access to? So we offer training. This is one of the biggest things they do. Learning facilitates to educate others. The training is actually live and it's done with other people who are putting projects on. It runs for a week and it's usually an hour per week. If you can't attend the training, then the events are recorded. The ability to connect with corporate partners, nearly 250 now have a dedicated team to ensure your project gets seen by them. You can see some of the corporate partners include Ford and Microsoft, Google and Facebook. So Global Giving offers you a digital space to put your projects and your organization, which you might not have been previously able to do. So this shows the layout of it as it showed on the screen previously. Shares your project in a compelling way, and invite your donors to give the way they want. Encourage them to switch to recurring donations. So you can see here, it gives you the ability to be able to break that down. So there's £24 you can give, and that gives watering cans for one school. £115 pesticides for one school, and so on. So Global Giving help you cultivate your relationships with your donors. This is very important because they will not come back unless you cultivate that relationship. They provide easy and powerful resources to help you regularly engage your donors. Global Giving help you work through their campaigns. Once you have completed the accelerated program, there are loads of other campaigns you can join. Keep your donors incentivized to donate through different stories they create. One of the biggest benefits is that you're joining a community of 3,000 charities and other organizations. Global Giving has a very substantial disaster recovery network, and one of the main fundraisers for COVID-19 Relief Fund have billions of dollars donated by their partners. What's very important is Global Giving a very trusted source for credibility, 4-star rated on GuideStar and Charity Navigator. Because of their due diligence process, donors know who they are. They're a credible organization that can be trusted with their contributions. There's actually one of the projects a number of months ago got a donation of £100,000 from one donor who thought that the sort of platform that we use with Global Giving and how they sort of vetted everybody and their due diligence base was so good, he actually gave the project £100,000 on the back of Global Giving's credibility. Global Giving, as we mentioned, is registered charity in the UK and US. So these donors can claim the tax back. You can claim the 25%, which Global Giving will take care of the administration for you, and you get it the month after. So Global Giving is part of your team, providing high quality tools like data analytics, donation widgets, donation processing, donor management systems, along with personalized support over the phone, the web, and even in person. Global Giving has levied the playing fields for non-profits of all sizes all around the world. We've channeled an extra 18 million to non-profits in 2019 through matching offers, bonus prizes, gift cards, corporate partnerships, marketing efforts, and more. So I want to talk to you a little bit more about how the actual process works. Global Giving, your entry level to sort of through Global Giving is through the accelerator program, as they call it. There are 4 accelerator programs a year. The registration has just finished, and projects are being posted for the September one. There's another one in December, there's another one in March, and another one in June. They've done quite a lot of work on this, and they find that creating this sort of incentivized way of putting you through a campaign on the training makes it more structured and helps you raise your monies. As I said, there's a week's worth of online training in which clubs learn the basics around how to run a successful crowdfunding campaign. So there are thresholds for projects for you to graduate. Every organisation will have an initial goal of raising at least £4,000 from at least 40 unique donors. The £4,000, some people might think is slightly high. That figure, sort of in the background, is slightly less. It's about £1,200, but we have it sort of set high so people know what they need to aim for. So it allows you to push yourself to raise more online than maybe you had done before, and it encourages donors to give now. If you hit these goals, then you sort of graduate as a full global giving partner, and those projects that I showed you on the landing page are clubs and projects that have graduated. If you don't reach the threshold, then the project is retired at the end of the accelerator program. Still get the ability to get the money that was raised, and you have the ability to re-put up the project for the next program. And once you've actually been through the accelerator program and your project's gone on, you can then go on and post other projects at any time. It's just to have this initial entry level. This sort of sets out in sort of pictorial terms how it all works. What you do initially is you apply to join, and this is really just getting the Rotary Club registered. We have got a process in place that's fairly slick to get that done. I can't get every Rotary Club just accepted there and then. You just got to go through the process. So every club, provided it's legit and all, gets registered. Then you go back with the ability then to get accepted, and then you post your project, having attended training for the week. Once the project has been posted, then you go on for the campaign, and it could last between 3 or 4 weeks. And then after that, if you graduate, then the project can stay on until you decide to close it down. So what are the sort of key dates? And that shouldn't say September, that should say December, because it sort of just updated it today. I'll change it for when the slides go out. So the key bit to remember then for the December accelerator is that you have to submit your application by the 16th of October. So that's nothing to do with your project. This is just registering the club, and I've got guides and mock forms filled out to show you how you go through that. You get notified that you've all been accepted, and everybody does. Then you have training from the 16th to the 19th of November, and then your project has to be submitted by the 20th of November. And the project campaign runs from the 1st of December to the 31st, so that's quite a long one in December. So as I said, these are just some of the case studies. We picked on some of these earlier. Redditch Kingfisher is actually Amanda's club. They did some work on defibrillators and put the process on. This was somewhere local that they did. Birmingham Breakfast did the Rotary shelter bus. That was one of the earlier ones too. And that's just been sitting there, and they get donations coming in every now and again. With £7,500 on that. As David Powell would know, who's one of our champions for crowdfunding, we have a page set up on the Rotary Great Britain Ireland site that gives you information. There sort of Q&As, presentations, and allows you to be able to access access the landing page, and we have a specific link for you to register, so that the clubs get the proper price of 8%, because the full price is 15. So we're coming just to the end here, and I'll just put all this up. This is just something what we finish off with. So do you have a project that you want to raise money for? Do you have team members that could support you? Are you willing to invest the time required? Would you give your own money to the project? Are you willing to ask friends to give? Then you're probably ready for crowdfunding. And as I said earlier, and David will probably back me up on it, some clubs, when they came on the start, thought that the money just appears in trees and it would just roll into the projects. And we've had a lot of success stories, but we've had some ones that haven't worked. So you do need to work at it. There's probably a lot more interest and focus on it now, because clubs and districts are maybe looking at ways to get money in. Previously, you might have had a dinner, you maybe had outside events. These are maybe not all available, so you may be looking for doing some online activity, or going out through one of these accelerator programs to raise money for the club. I have 5 projects that have registered for the September one. Actually, one of the clubs in Northern Ireland, Rotary Club of Ballymena, every year around September time, they would have had a function and raised money for a number of charities. So Global Giving have allowed that to happen. So they're allowing them to crowdfund for a number of charities, and they're going to run something sort of virtual to sort of promote it. So that brings me to questions, and as such, as I said, I will share the slides. I will, as I said, available to do things in a wee bit more in depth. I know in any of the other clubs that I've done, it maybe takes a couple of sessions to go through. Some of them have created small groups where I've sort of presented to, but hopefully if you hadn't sort of heard about crowdfunding, this sort of gives you a little bit of a bit more of a feel. I know District Governor Chris was mentioning earlier about the Beirut piece they were talking about, and they had a Just Giving page set up. And I suppose when I talk about it, whilst we've got a relationship with Global Giving, there are other providers out there, and sometimes club events that are doing some of the other providers suit better or just as well. So just really depends. So folks, that's me.
I have a question for you, Garth.
Yes.
District 1100, I can't see your name, it's Thornbury. Would you like to? Thank you. We're not hearing.
Yep, thank you very much. It's Mark Wilkinson, and thanks.
Hello, Mark, how are you?
I'm very well, Garth. Thank you very much for that presentation. At Thornbury, we've run a couple of money raising exercises online. The challenge I have, and what I'd like some advice from you on, is how do we get more public engagement? We found Rotarians very good at
Yes.
putting their hand in the pocket, but how do we get out to the public and get them engaged on these platforms?
Yes, that a good question. A number of the projects that have done quite well has really been the project that they have picked. So I've sort of think that anything that sort of hits the heartstrings and sort of attracts the eye is the thing that's going to make the project attractive. And that is really supposed spending a bit of time on either the video or the messaging that you might do. I know the 4 Marks and Medstead wanted to start, that was a disabled group that they used. They got the parents to do a lot of social media, and they interviewed a lot of the kids and put their stories on, which sort of hit the heartstrings as well. And that sort of made it a wee bit more attractive for sort of the wider population. I suppose the challenge is, and it's a bit like if we're going to run a coffee morning that it gets done, is that you get the member to sort of push it out to their network as well. It's very easy just to look at it and say, no, I'm not going, and then not bother to send it on. So, and I suppose some of the other people have talked about, it's not necessarily social media. You can ring people. You could, I know some people maybe had identified flyers and sent them out, or even, dropped them around the town. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be social media. It can be any way that you could connect to the,
okay, thank you.
wider public.
Your next question is from Rory.
Evening, Rory.
Hi, Garth. I've been booted out 3 times, so I might have missed this. But you mentioned some training is required. What does that entail?
They run a week's training, which is about an hour per day, which takes you through various components which prepare you for the campaign. So, there'll be a session on how to write your project up on the system, how to sort of attract outside people, how do you fundraise. So there's about I think there's five topics that they run, and they are as in face-to-face on the basis they're sort of live online, and you get other people sort of joining that have other projects, but they are recorded if you can't make them, and other people sort of can join as well. I think the challenge that we have with some of the other projects is that somebody's picked it up in the club, and everybody thought, oh great, Jimmy's picked this up, he's going to do it all himself. And it doesn't really work like that. So although I must admit, in the last sort of 5 or 6 presentations I've done, because of, I suppose, where we are with the pandemic and people's minds changing a bit, enthusiasm has been more than one person in a club to sort of support them. So,
Garth, your next question is from Mary Nettle at the E-Club.
hello, Mary.
Unmute yourself, Mary.
Okay, done it. That was very interesting, but very focused on Just Giving.
Yes.
As the partner with Rotary to do this work. I was thinking, do you know of other outlets which, like, for example, lots of us are doing online shopping these days because we have to, basically, and there are systems where you can get a percentage of your shopping is you can donate to charity. I don't know enough about it, but I wondered if you knew about that.
I've heard of it, but I haven't got a lot of detail. I mean, as I said, the relationship we did was with Global Giving, but in the last sort of 6 or 7 months, we've done a bit of research on the other ones. So there's Just Giving, which Chris mentioned earlier. There's another one called Local Giving, and another one called GoFundMe. So they're sort of the main, and they're the main sort of crowdfunding platforms that are actually out there.
Garth, if I can just come in here. I was just going to say Amazon and Marks and Spencer's. Amazon do
Amazon Prime do.
Sorry?
Yeah, because the Rotary is actually linked through the Amazon one.
Yeah, so Rotary, you can register your Rotary Club, and then they get, I think it's 0.5%. It comes back to the Rotary Club, and somebody did tell me that Marks and Spencer's do the same thing, and I think a lot of us order through Amazon, and certainly the ladies Rotarians. We buy quite a bit with Marks and Spencer's. So again, that seems to me like money for old rope, really. So I would encourage most clubs to investigate that.
It's not easy to do though. I think they will accept Rotary as an organisation. They won't accept smaller ones, and you'll find eBay as well.
I know Llanelli Club have registered with Amazon, Alison.
Okay.
But it is, as Alison, as you said, it's when I do a lot of my stuff on Amazon Prime, but it's not easily set up. You have to remember to go through the Rotary Rewards app to access the Amazon bit. It doesn't work. It doesn't work the other way. So you have to keep remembered. And I presume that if the club's set up that way, you've got to go through some other link that they have.
Can I just mention that there's a
I would ask you to put your hands up, okay? But carry on, Mike.
I did put it up earlier, actually, but you ignored it.
No, there's somebody ahead of you.
Oh, beg your pardon. Okay. Well, the point was it's relevant to this little bit. Is there is an organisation online called easyfundraising.org, and again they connect with most of the large suppliers, M&S, Amazon, all the others, giving a varying refund of anything from sort of 2% to 5% on spend, so that can be used for shopping. One thing I would ask Garth was that can one use global giving for other charities rather than Rotary as well? Because I'm chairman of another charity.
Yes, it is other charities. Yes, you can.
Right. Okay. Fine. Thank you. I will keep quiet now.
Okay.
Mute myself.
Bernard, do you have a question?
Yeah, well, may I start, Garth, by saying hello to a good friend of mine from the past, Chris Firth from Swindon. He and I work together quite often, but not necessarily on crowdfunding, I might add. Garth, I may miss the beginning, but could you tell us a little more about this 8% and this linked with
Yes.
the actual gross take that's possible under the scheme?
Yes, there is, in some of the research that we had done, if we take, for example, I think it's local giving, they actually charge an annual rate. So for a Rotary club to put a project on, it is free. Okay, so we ourselves in the central hub, as in Rotary Great Britain Ireland, pay Just Giving a small amount of money, which allows us to access a relationship manager, which is Jazz, get reporting and that sort of thing. And it covers an element of the vetting that's done actually on the club and on the actual project. So all crowdfunding providers charge processing fees. So Global Giving normal rate is 15%, but Rotary get a discount and it's 8%. And 8% comes off the donation that you give. But the benefit that Global Giving have versus the other ones is that you get 25%, as in the gift aid, on each of the donations. That's not always accessible from the other providers.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and you get the donation money 1 month, and then the next month you get the gift aid money for that donation.
Thank you.
And they claim that on our behalf, so the club doesn't have to do anything. It just comes into the bank account.
Paula Hendlers.
Hello, it's not me actually, it's Brian.
Brian, right.
Yeah. Pontypool. Sorry, I registered under the Secretary of Hentless. Anyway, one of the things you just mentioned, gift aid, and I think you've partly answered the question, but I'm concerned about the fact that our club is not registered as a charity. Our charity fund isn't registered. It's not big enough. Do we need to be registered?
That doesn't matter. Okay, it's just there. Some of the clubs that have a trust fund, there's a different process for registering, but that doesn't
preclude.
That's the right word. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much.
That's okay.
Right.
At the moment, I can't see anyone else with a question. Is there anyone else with a burning question? Or any question? Doesn't have to be burning. He's answered everything, has he? The mine of information. We all say that when he does our training.
Alison, hello.
Yes, Russell. Russell, you have a question, dear. Go on then.
On the bridge.
Yes. Good evening, Garth.
Hello, how are you, Russell?
The last time we saw each other was on the airport.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, and I'd like to thank you because we won. All because of you. Two questions, really. One, I'm afraid I missed quite a little bit at the beginning because I come straight in from holiday and switched on. And is the whole thing available for the rest of my club to access on a club night?
As in
your presentation.
Yes, it is. Yes, and I'm quite happy to come and do that if you want me to. So no issues.
Also, Russell, we are recording, so this recording will be available.
Oh, where will it be available, Mary?
Once I've downloaded it, I will send it to the 3 DGs and hopefully they can put it on the district websites.
There we are, fine. If I have any problems once I've done that, Garth, if you won't mind, I'll come back to you on that. Lovely, thank you. And lastly, my club uses both Easy Fundraising and Amazon. And over the past 6 years, we've raised over £4,000.
Very good.
And it's dead easy, but it's very small amounts. So the more people you can get, not necessarily club members, friends, relations, anybody that you know that does lots of online buying, then just send them the link and register them with you. That's all I've got to say. Thank you, Alison. Thank you, Garth.
Thank you.
That's okay.
Garth, there's a question in the chat from Andy Garrett. If a club's trust fund isn't registered with HMRC, can gift aid be claimed?
No.
I don't see why not, because it doesn't necessarily that's not the trigger. So it's just the process that we use. So they've either got a trust fund or if it's just with the club, so that's okay.
I've got a feeling that you might be wrong there, Garth.
Okay.
I'm not 100% because my treasurer does it all, but he's actually given advice to a number of local clubs to us, so that it enables those clubs to claim gift aid once they've registered. So
but,
I think it might be a case of double checking on that.
Well, it's Global Giving that claim the money, not the club. Oh, we've lost you.
Perhaps I might just add something to that. Being an accountant by profession, if you're giving as an individual, gift aid can be claimed. If you're giving to your club's trust fund, your club trust fund would normally be registered as a charity and will already have got the gift aid. Hence, monies from a trust fund into Global Giving wouldn't be eligible, as Garth says. But as Garth just said also, if that trust fund isn't registered with HMRC, gift aid wouldn't have been given on it. So as Garth says, it probably would be eligible for the gift aid supplement.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions for Garth from the floor?
You possibly can't see my hand, so I'm going to talk anyway.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I saw a yellow one, David. Off you go.
Yeah, because going back to that last question, because Global Giving is the registered charity, then any donations going through that process are claimable for gift aid. That's a fact. I've done a case myself and looked into all that in great detail. So it is not a problem whether the club's a registered charity or not, because the registered charity collecting the money is Global Giving, and they claim the money back. The club doesn't get involved whatsoever. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. And then the other point I'd like to make, as I'm the district champion for Global Giving or for crowdfunding in District 1100. And I've done a project, so I've got hands-on experience. I spoke to several clubs about global giving, and so if anybody wants me to talk to their club via a Zoom meeting, I'm more than happy to do so, and more than happy to actually help any club get up there and get a case running, because I physically have done that. So please feel free to contact me and get me involved if you've got questions or you want help to get going.
Thank you. Now, Rory, I don't see any more questions.
Yes, yeah, Robert Tosland.
Okay, Robert, please.
Hi, thank you, Alison. Garth, could you perhaps give us a little more detail on the acceptance criteria that sort of seems to sort of start this whole thing off?
Yeah, the acceptance criteria, we've sort of tried to limit it down as concise as possible. So if we take a club that has a trust fund, then what we're looking for is the registered number. We're looking for income and expenditure statements for the last couple of years. When we talk about rules and constitutions, we provide the RIBI rules and constitutions guide. They do look for, just by way of making sure that the club sort of exists, is, you know, if you've done any work with a local charity or anybody that sort of interacted with, just to recommend the club. If that's not possible, then I have written letters that have gone on. So in a nutshell, that's roughly what it is. So it's just really about the club, nothing to do with the project. So you can go ahead and register the club and then decide at a later date when you want to put the project on. If you don't have a trust fund, then there's just a slightly different process, but that's very similar.
Thank you. So Rory, I think that was our last question, and it's over to you, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Garth, may I congratulate you on such a professional and succinct presentation. And isn't it amazing that Zoom has given us the opportunity to have people like Garth in our sort of studies without having to pay for him to come all the way across from Ireland on Ryanair, or, you know, if it's working at the moment, without having to sort of quarantine afterwards. And thank you so much, Garth. Global giving, I'd heard of it before. I didn't realize that we had a partnership, Rotary had a partnership with Global Giving, and you've sort of brought alive details of that partnership for us. And it's a must do in terms of getting the message out to all the clubs in our district, because it's a fantastic tool in our armory of fundraising. And I do thank you very much, Garth. So please, could everyone unmute themselves and join me in a round of applause and thanks to Garth. Can I thank all the people that have organised this event this evening, particularly Mary, who has set the whole thing up, Garth, of course, for his presentation, and my fellow DGs, Alison and Chris, and to all of you for attending this evening. Normally I'd say have a safe journey home, but I don't need to say that. But have a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Maybe Rory, we'll ask this team, if you have a burning thing that you think should be the topic of our next tri-district get-together like this, please let Mary know.
Yeah,
so,
thank you very much.
Can I just say then, before we go, that the next tri-district seminar will be in October. I think it's the 2nd of October. And we will be having Sam Cross talking about social media. So the next one is lined up, but feel free to send me any suggestions you have on talks for the future, and we'll set them up. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Garth.
Yes, can I sort of
Thank you, Garth. Bye-bye.
can I complimentary on all the on the sort of this approach of getting the 3 districts together? I think it's absolutely brilliant, and hope you can continue and keep it going. I think it's really good. So thanks everybody again, much appreciated.
Thanks, Garth.
Okay. I love you and leave you.
Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks, babe.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.